Welcome back to the news at 10. Psychiatrists and experts on stress management have identified depression, broken relationships and stress as reasons for rising cases of mental illnesses around the globe. Although there is no reliable data of mental health patients in Nigeria, a recent survey by the World Health Organization says there are estimated 450 million cases of mental disorders across Africa. Our special report tonight takes a look at the prevalence of psychiatric and depression cases in Nigeria and the willingness of people with mental disorders and their caregivers to seek medical help.
The sight of men and women who suffer from various forms of mental illnesses litter some major cities in Nigeria. This remains so even though there are rehabilitation centers in most cities across Nigeria. Some statistics place the number of people with mental disorders in Nigeria at 21 million. Medical experts say stress resulting from economic hardship and broken relationship are a major trigger.
The society already is tense, so that really produces a lot of effects on the population generally. And so people are tense. There's a lot of broken families. You see, most of the women that come in for treatment, they have these broken families. The husband is not there for them, or they are separated. And so the stress of looking after the children alone and from the family background is much for individual. And so generally they just break down. Rejection in the family, difficulties in the family. They're not able to cope with the stress.
Stress is like a trigger. Stress as an ongoing thing can impact on people differently. In one person, having a very stressful situation, like for example, you lose your job, you get divorced, not having enough finances, could eventually lead you to developing an illness such as depression. But I must remind you that this is not necessarily what's going to happen to everybody. So some people are more vulnerable to developing some types of mental illness as a result of stress.
Experts say some family members are reluctant to seek medical help because of stigmatization.
We find that a lot of families seek help when the problem has escalated to a more advanced phase, either because of the stigmatization attached or because they don't want people to associate their family with mental illness. But then we try to create awareness to these families that, mental illness is better, it's better treated at the early phases.
But how much facilities exist in Nigeria to cater to the medical needs of those who seek for help?
If you find yourself in that situation where something quite embarrassing will make it difficult for you to talk to a family member or even your pastor or your imam, you need professional help. But where can you go to? We don't necessarily have enough facilities, enough trained people available to cater for 170 million Nigerians. How many helplines do you have that people can actually reach out to?
To bridge the gap between those seeking for medical help and facilities available for treatment, experts recommend that government provide enabling environment for private sector intervention.
We don't have enough facilities, we don't have enough professionals. But because I practice in the United Kingdom also, everything is not done by government. Because in Nigeria, there's always this tendency to say government is not doing this, government is not doing that. A lot of this work is done by the third sector, NGOs, the independent sector. But in most of those countries, government has a system of also funding non-governmental organizations to do a lot of work, like all these helplines and all of that.
Mental disorders impose enormous burden on the society, hence the World Health Organization's adoption of a 7-year mental health action plan in 2013 to increase government attention for patients.
Let's take this discussion further. Joining me now is a consultant psychiatrist, Dr. Peter Ogunibiyo. Welcome to the News at 10.
Thank you very much, Amarachi.
So I'm hearing the word stress repeated over time, and that seems to be, the major trigger for mental health problems. So how do we manage stress?
Well, first of all, we need to understand that stress can both be external or internal. The external ones are the unemployment, the chaotic environment, social anarchy, all the things we have. And then the internal ones are some of the lifestyle, some of the things we do that we necessarily harm ourselves. Now, talking about management, the major control one may have is on the inward type, management of inward stress, internal stress. You may not be able to do anything about the external stress, the problem in the political scene and everything. Therefore, what we tell people is cut your coat according to your size. Now even it's according to your clothes. So do things in moderation. Know that you have a program. Instead of you running around, schedule your time, plan based on your income. Don't do beyond your level. Then when you come to internal management of stress, you need to look at, this is the time I go to work. Let me take a break. Let me rest. Let me do this. Don't let me involve myself in taking substance that can affect my health. So things like that are the things we need to do over and over. Otherwise, we will not be able to manage, because stress will consistently be there. But it is your attitude and your ability to cope and also do what are the things I can change. And how have I been coping with this stress? That's another problem.
You're talking about somebody who is smart enough or who is sensitive enough to be able to identify this.
Yeah.
Now, the person who's probably depressed or who's going through mental stress or mental health problems may not know that this is what he's going through.
Okay.
So the caregivers around, those who the loved ones around, would notice. How can they help to impact this person's life so that they
now
help
fine.
this
You
problem?
sorry, you said something. Stress. All of us presume to be sane. We can manage stress. But when excessive stress turns to burnout, that's when you now have mental disorders like depression, anxiety, psychosis, and all the things you are mentioning. That is the state that these people now may not be able to help themselves. I started by talking about when you can help yourself without getting overboard. Okay. But now that it has happened that you cannot help yourself, things are not happening, people around you are the ones that will not help you. It's like having a cotton wool behind your head. You will not be able to know. So therefore, and unfortunately, people cannot give what they don't know. Programs like this are meant to sensitize people that when you see a relative, for example, going through depression, what are the signs and symptoms? The person is keeping to himself or herself, the person is not eating, the person is not taking care of himself or herself, the person is becoming so pessimistic, doomed here and there. You don't just, as a relative, the person is not thinking of death. The person asks you, what if I die now, Amarachi, what will you do? I say, come on, you can't die. You that love life. Those are warning signs. Those are red flags of suicidal ideation that may become very much intent. And they can go to plan. And from plan, you can have attempt. An attempt can either lead to total fatality or you may be able to escape from it. So people should know, understand these red flags, and they should seek medical help.
Yes, but we're talking about a country where it's not our culture to go and see a doctor or to go and see a psychiatrist as yourself or to go and see a psychologist, anybody like that. How do we then develop the habit of checking up on mental health? Because many people do that when they travel outside, but they don't do that here.
Well, the beautiful thing is that programs such as this is to change, because when knowledge changes, it will affect attitude, and attitude will affect behavior. The more we sensitize people, the more we tell people that when things like this happen, it's not for you to say, oh, come on, be a man, get off it, or you carry the person to imam or pastor or anywhere. No. People need to know that mental illness is a medical condition, just like diabetes, hypertension, arthritis, asthma, anything. Chemicals in the brain whatsoever just go erratic, and what happens? So you need to seek medical help.
But if you do change the environment, then mental health can
Well,
eventually improve.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight,
you.
Dr. Ogunibi.
Thank you very much.
To our community report tonight, the people of Oronta on Noho, Ekwano local government area of Abia State, are concerned about the extension of high-tension electricity cables above their homes. Residents say the cables were installed without due consideration for the impending danger it poses to their lives and property. However, the NIPP contractor insists the community gave approval and compensation was paid before the project began. That's where our community report tonight is headed.
Etisala, now you're talking.
This is Noho Oboro, an autonomous community in Ikuano local government area of Abia State. This peaceful community is made up of 6 villages and has over 250,000 inhabitants who are known for commerce and agriculture. Like other communities, it has its own share of challenges, including roads. The road leading to Oronta is in a bad state. Potholes dot every corner of the road, and vehicles are not finding it easy either. But that is not the major issue bothering the people of Oronta. They are worried and in despair over the looming danger that stares them in the face. 330,000 volts of electricity. The NIP project platforms passes over several houses, and this has traumatized residents.
We told them, they didn't listen to us. They just do everything they like. Warning us that they will take a bulldozer to come and destroy us, or destroy the houses one day if we didn't leave. The government has paid for all this area, so we are leaving. It's government land.
They claim no compensation was paid to them.
During the time they did the enumeration and payment, show you how they arrive at their calculation. Not a single indigene here will show a paper covering what has taken place here or what they said they have paid. The payment they made here and the enumeration was a big sham.
The people of the community were not well compensated.
Okay, the contractor said he has compensated.
He has
all
not.
of
It is. Let him bring his records.
He has not.
I've pointed out some very vital issues for you. I know instances. I've cited some instances here now. You can see the buildings here. 1, 2. This one on this way. Then the rest from this point. And they said that we're just in between the 2 lines. And these are ultra high tension wires.
However, the NIPP contractor insists the community approved the project and compensation was paid.
They accepted that the line should pass through their community. While the work was going on, the enumeration, the communities had retained individual agents who are surveyors to represent them. And NDPAC routed the money for each of these claimants through their appointed agents for payment. And their agents subsequently paid them.
Actually, our people were deceived. They threw into them dividing and ruling. Introducing many people as agents. Why are we supposed to work on one body? Many people are sick because of the situation of the village. What do we do?
The state government feels the community should direct their grievances to the right channel to have it settled.
There's no way federal government would have conceived such a gangatom project without factoring the compensation process for the community. I think there is a communication gap somewhere between the community and the project handlers. So they should organize. The community should organize themselves and channel their protest to the right source.
But a big question is, why did the NIPP coordinators locate such a high voltage project within the residential area? And what exactly transpired between the people of Oronta and NIPP contractors? The matter is before the Federal High Court, but there is need to go back to the drawing board and find a lasting solution to avert looming disaster.
Now you're talking.
VDT Communications, a leading broadband service provider in Nigeria, has launched 3 new products into the information technology market. This is expected to fulfill the yearnings of customers for improved internet services across the country. At VDT's 15th anniversary, tagged the Triple Impact event, the chairman of VDT Communications, Mr. Musliu Smith, said the company is set to provide world-class internet services to Nigerians. With many feathers already added to its cap in 15 years, it's time for management, staff and loyal customers of VDT Communications to celebrate the company's 15th anniversary in a triple impact event after recording a milestone in providing broadband width for Nigerians.
VDT rebranded in 2014 and involved a new brand identity that more wholesomely represents who we are as a brand, encapsulating our strength and dynamism as a company that is set to play a leading role in shaping the future of broadband communications in Nigeria.
The Managing Director of VDT Communications gets on the podium to share the vision of the company, which is to revolutionize the broadband access in Nigeria.
Today, we have over 2,500 access points spread across the financial sectors, the oil and gas sector, government agencies and institutions, and the fast-moving consumer group, and so on and so forth.
Awards were also presented as a way of appreciating the devotion and commitment of both VDT customers and staff. How will the VDT products impact on customers?
We actually got certified. VDT is ISO 9001-2008 certified. We also ISO 20000 certified. Now, ISO 9001-2008 is actually meant to improve on our processes. When we went into this, we rework each and every one of our processes to ensure that we are doing the right thing, and then anybody that picks up a job can actually start running with it.
With 15 years of remarkable achievements in broadband services, VDT Communications looks set to play a more leading role in shaping the future of broadband communications in Nigeria and the world. Still ahead on the news at 10, Wiki Tourists maintain lead in the Nigeria Professional Football League. We'll have more in sports news. Please stay with us.